Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Today I am filming my June wrap up. Woo. June was Prime month, so I tried to focus the whole month on reading Prime books, yay, and I will talk more about the representation I read in the different books as I talk about the books I read, obviously. I read 21 books in June, so I'm quite happy about that. I did push myself quite a bit this month because of my reading plans, and some days it was a tiny bit much, but I love reading, so sacrifices must be made for books. So my plan for June was to read as many Pride books as possible. Every single book I read, I wanted to have LGBT plus representation in it, but I had a couple of arcs and stuff I had to read to review them, and I was unsure about the representation in those, if they had any at all. So those were like extra books, and read 100 pages in my Pride book every single day, and also 100 pages in the extra book every single day. That's why I read so much this month. I already know I'm gonna talk for forever, but I will try to keep it a bit short, and some full reviews are gonna be of a lot of these. So again, we're gonna keep it a bit short on some of them, and let's get started. The first book I read was What If It's Us by Becky Albertalli and Adam Silvera. You scared me. Hello. Why are you being cute? Wow. Oh my god, you're so sweet.
I hate you.
Wow. Bye. My best friend is cute. What If It's Us is by Becky Albertalli and Adam Silvera. It's about these two boys, Ben and Arthur, who has a meet cute in a post office, but they don't get each other's information, and it's about them finding each other, and are they meant to be? Who knows? You have to read the book to find out. It's about these two gay boys, and I have wanted to read this book since it came out, since it was announced, and I finally did, and it was very, very sweet, very, very fast paced. I did enjoy so much of the commentary and the thoughts and feelings the different characters have. They were really, really real and authentic teenagers, and I cheered for them, and I cared about them, and I cared about the book, and I had a really great time. So definitely a recommendation if you want a sweet book, but also it has weight in it, and it has reflections and thoughts like homophobia and race questions, and also just thoughts about romance and love, which I will never experience. Joking. We have Hazel and Holly by Sarah C. Snyder. This one was an arc that I got from NetGalley. I have a full review on this, but it's basically about these two witches. Their mother has died and her soul is trapped in this cabin place, and they want to find the father because they know he did it and make him reverse the spell. And it's basically about the journey of finding their father. They also get help from these two other warlocks called Hemlock and Hemsworth. I did enjoy some parts of this, but it was very too much whimsical and not straightforward as I wanted to. And I kept mixing up the characters a lot, and I wanted more magic. The book used a lot of time on some weird things that I don't understand why it used its time on. I gave it like 2 stars if I remember correctly, and I will link the review down below for more thoughts. I then read Kan vi bara late som by Camilla Sandmo. This one is a Norwegian YA, and I knew there was LGBT representation in this. The main character named Emma, she is doing figure skating, and one day they have a double booking the ice hall they're using, so the hockey players also use half of the hall, and they have this bet thing because they think the hockey is so easy and the hockey people think that the figure skating is so easy, so you have this bet where one of the players from each team is gonna learn the other. This is when she meets Josie, and like she is the only girl player on the hockey team. They become a thing, and it was adorable. It's a really, really short book. It was like barely 200 pages, a bit under, and I loved it a lot. I really liked the snarky writing, and I know it's only Norwegian, so you can't read it if you're not a Norwegian, but I really, really liked it. I had a really good time with it. It was really, really funny. The main character, who is such a really typical teenager, sat in Sims and made Sims characters for people that she didn't like and killed them, and I was like, almost same. It was sort of funny. She was snarky, she was unsure about herself, she was a really nice teenager. The book had so many also really sweet moments and thoughts about like grades and what's really important, and like hobbies and doing what you want to do, and yeah, I just I liked it a lot and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I then listened to Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. This was a reread for Pride. This one follows Sam Snow, who's the worst chosen one ever chosen, and he goes to a magic school, and on this school he's been going for many years. There is this threat in the magical world called the Insidious Humdrum, and he is supposed to fight it. There is like a war going on. He is also sharing a room with his arch nemesis Bass, who is also a vampire and also in love with Simon Snow. So it's actually like great. It's the best like enemies to lovers trope book I have ever read, and I love it to pieces. This is my 3rd time rereading it, and I did it in preparation for the 2nd book, which is coming out in September. And now that I read it a few times, I really see the foreshadowing for different things, and I appreciate it a lot, and it's so worth the read if you find it interesting. I then read Prince of Flames by Ben Allenson. This was like a really short novella, which I don't remember how I got through his newsletter, I think, which is in his series, the Dogori series. I want to read this before I read the 2nd book. It is just a really short book with Prince Hadrian, where it's before the events of the 1st book, leading up to it, and it's just more about his mother and background with his father, the things like that. It was like 20 pages long, so I don't know if I should count it as a book I read this month, but alas, I do. And it was totally okay. I gave it like 3 stars. I liked it, but it wasn't like, oh my god, best thing ever. I would talk about more in that series in a little bit. Next book I finished was Feminized by Anne Davinal Cardinal. It's a book set in Puerto Rico where the main character travels to Puerto Rico every summer. Now there's this happening of murders going on there, and she goes into trying to solve it. The got this from NetGalley, so I have a full video review of it on my channel, and I will leave a link to that down below. But basically there is this monster killing these kids, and they are like, oh my god, why? And I found it very predictable and not really that surprising or scary, since it is a thriller that's horror novel. So it wasn't really for me, but I did like the setting and some race and identity questions that was brought up in it, so I gave it like 2 out of 5 stars. And the next one I read was Found in Night by Ben Allison. This one is the sequel to Colk in the Shadow and the 2nd book in the Dogori series. The Dogori series follows Zack, who is sent to the capital to be in this feast thing, and then he's chosen to be a soldier dude thing for the king, I guess. Apparently I had a hard time explaining that because it's such a long time since I read the 1st book, but no, really, because I read it a year ago. And when I read the 2nd book, I had forgotten everything about the 1st book. I think that really affected my experience reading the 2nd book because I didn't remember anything from the 1st one. I did really like the 1st one. I didn't enjoy this one as much because suddenly go on this quest story and does not fit well in this setting, because the world is kind of not ending, but we are in this war, and then suddenly you go on this quest and use a lot of time of the book in that quest, and it just felt really off because they made the pacing really off, and it makes the rest of the world really not believable. But I did still enjoy it because I really like the characters and I like the magic, and the reveals that came through was really interesting. The end was like, whoa, that was a cliffhanger. There's lots of things going on. I really do like the world, and Zack is gay and together with Prince Hadrian. Love them together, by the way. They are super sweet. It was totally okay. I had fun times with it sometimes, but it did feel a bit dragging because we just went on a quest suddenly. So I gave it like 3 out of 5 stars, but it was still enjoyable, and as I said, I really do like the world. I then read Kingdom of Exiles by Maximum M. Martino. This one was also an art that I got from NetGalley, and it follows Lena, who is a beast charmer. She charms beasts and has been banished from the beast city thing. Because of this, she has been selling beasts, which is seen upon as really bad. Assassins is then sent after her, and she managed to overpower Assassin and then be sent back to the assassin leader, where they're going to deal like she would provide them with beasts for them not killing her after all. This was a story that I really enjoyed the world building in, because I enjoyed the whole beast thing. All the beast has different kind of magic and different things they can do, but it was entirely focused on the romance, and I didn't really like that because I wasn't really interested in it. I didn't understand why they liked each other. It was very insta-lovey. I have a full review of this as well on my channel. I will link that down below as well. But too much romance for my taste, and I wanted more beasts, so yeah. I then read I Hate Everyone But You by Gaby Dunn and Alison Raskin. This one I read because I had an arc of the second one. Basically, I haven't rated a book 1 star since 2012, I think I found out, and this one got 1 star. I really did not like this book. I kind of detested, actually. First of all, it is about these two best friends who goes to college on different sides of the coast in the States. And they keep contact through emails and text, obviously. So because of this, we are really distanced from them because we read like them summarizing what has happened to each other, and then we get summarized all the time. So it feels really flat because of this, because we don't really get the connection we want with the characters. But really, it was just full of like biphobia. I think of course it's fine to ask yourself questions about different things in the LGBT spectrum, but for me it was just use fucking Google, man. I don't know. It was just so many problematic questions, so many problematic things happening. There was this relationship between one of the main characters and their not tutor, I don't know the word for it because I'm not fucking American, I don't even know. And it was just really unhealthy and weird. It's fine that they fought and stuff, because of course best friends fight, but some of the things they said was just really problematic, and I didn't like it at all. I haven't not liked a book like this in forever. Even though I do think that it is almost in the way that Ava, one of the characters, has depression and anxiety. Even though it sort of did fit for my Pride books though, because the main character realized that they are not straight, but yay for representation. Even bad ones. I then read Fur Reborn by Clary Ledgegrand, I don't know how to say the name. I heard that both of the main characters in this one was bisexual, and they were. That is why I read it for June. This one is a story set in 2 different time periods. We have Riel, who is like supposedly the Silent Queen, and she needs to go through this trial to prove that she is. And then we have Aliana, I don't even know how to say her name, who is 1000 years later in the same world, and she sort of works for an empire who has taken over everything. Then she has to team up with the rebels to find her mother, who is now missing. You know those books where you read the beginning of the story and you're thinking that, is the conflict going to be solved in this book, or will the conflict go through the whole trilogy or series or whatever you're reading? And then sometimes the conflict is solved in the first one and you are left really surprised by this, because then you don't know what the rest of the series is going to be about. That's not a bad thing, by the way. Or the conflict is not solved and you know that the rest of the series is going to be fighting this one thing and building up to this one thing, and you know it's going to take forever. It's very different kinds of storytelling, and I'm not saying that either one is better than the other one, but it does give a different impression, because if the first book is going to have the same conflict as the next 2 or 1 book, so whatever how long the series is, then you sort of just waiting for that point. And if the build up to this is not as interesting as the final battle, then like the journey just becomes sort of tedious and boring. Fur Reborn was definitely one of those books where you're just building up for the next few books, because it was just a build-up book and it was like 500 pages long. I felt the length of the book so well. Some parts was just really boring, and I didn't really care for Alina at all, and the 2 characters just really blended together. They didn't really have characteristics that separated them, and the reveals that we got was just so obvious. In the beginning of the book, we also know sort of Riel's fate, so we're basically just building up to this, and I'm hoping that we don't really know her fate after all. That there's gonna be a twist that what we got in the beginning, that's not really how things are, and that's what I'm hoping for, but we'll see. I do see what this book is trying to do. I just feel like the payoff wasn't that good, and I don't think we got any payoff for all the pages we read, but I did enjoy parts of it, and I gave it like 3 out of 5 stars because it was enjoyable, but it was just very long and felt like a bullet book, and yay, now one of the characters is ready. The whole book was just about making them ready. Great. We then have the Before the Broken Star by Emily R. King. This was also an arc that I got from NetGalley, and my review will be up soon. Here the main character has a clock heart because she was stabbed when she was younger, her family was killed, she's been living with her uncle, and then the man who did kill her family comes into the clock shop that she works in one day, and she decides to go after him for revenge because it's finally time. And yeah, the outlook of the book was really cool. I liked the first few pages, but then there is this island that the queen of the country wants to colonize, and they go to this island. When they get to the island, it just gets really boring. For me in this, at least, the romance was also really boring, and I wasn't really interested in what was gonna happen. There was also some point of the book that didn't make any sense to me whatsoever. There are these 3 characters that are there for no reason. I don't understand why they were there, but they were just with them, and I don't understand why or how, but okay. I gave it like 2 out of 5 stars, and more thoughts would be in my review, because apparently I can't think right now. We then have Red, White, Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. This one I bought specifically to read for this month, and I was very excited for it. This one follows the son of the President of the United States and the Prince of England falling in love. I had so many expectations for this, and I feel like I was sort of left down. I did enjoy parts of it. I feel the message here was really sweet, but I was just let down a bit because I expected to love it and be blown away by it, and I wasn't, but that doesn't mean it was bad. There's also a lot of politics in this one, and since I'm not in the US, I was a bit confused, even though I knew actually quite a lot about the things they were talking about because I watched a lot of TV shows, lol. I felt like the characters were so far away. There was so much telling and not showing, where we just got like, they were skipping in time and like summaries of what happened instead of like actually it happening on page. And every time that happened, I was just so thrown back, and I was like, wait, what actually happened? So I just really felt disconnected with the book, and that was probably why it just felt far away from me. Even though it was really sweet and had a lot of great moments, I was kind of let down. Also, people told me it was enemy to lovers. They weren't really enemies. They were more like rivals, but they didn't like hate each other. Didn't feel like enemies. Didn't feel like they had that enemy kinda. And here was just like, oh, I don't like him from afar kinda of thing. And I didn't feel the enemy to lovers trope. At least if it wasn't done that well. But I do think it had some really great moments as well. So I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, 3.75. Yay. I then read Please and Help by Alison Raskin and Gaby Dunn. This one is the sequel to I Hate Everyone But You, and this one is after they've been finished college and live other places. Awa is in an internship, and Brennan Ware has started to work for a newspaper, and I did like this better than the first one in the way that it felt much more grounded, but it still was not really for me. I still feel the distance from the characters because it's told to us and we're not shown anything. So I give it like 2 out of 5 stars. A review will be up, some more thoughts then. Yay. I then finished Ghost of the Shadow Market by Cassandra Clare and a bunch of other authors. This one I read because I knew it was gonna be representation in it, even though not every short story had a representation, because this is a book with lots of short stories shot in the Shadowhunter world. I love this, by the way. I love the Shadowhunter world. I love getting different perspectives and different short stories, and this one basically follows Gem or Brother Sakurai through different time periods for a long time with different people, all connecting kinda to the Shadowhunter market. And I just love how everything was different, how they all connected differently to the Shadowhunter market, how we went from the old days up to the modern days. I love some stories were so good. Some stories I didn't like as much, but they were so good. We did have a Malik story, for example, which means so much to me because I love them. I can't sit here and talk about every single story, but this was a book I enjoyed a lot, and I give it 4 out of 5 stars. I then read Wily Girls by Rory Power, which I had to read anyway because it's soon being released and I had to review it, but my review is up for this and I will link it down below, but it also had an FF romance, so it was perfect for Pride Month. This one is set on Raxter Island, where there is an all-girls school. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's raining like crazy outside, what the fuck. It's been 18 months since something called the Tux has spread out, which is this disease starting killing everyone and the girls. Things start to unravel when Bayat, Hattie's best friend, goes missing and she goes out to look for her. So things are being revealed. It is super strange, super weird book, but really good, super different from things I usually read, and I really enjoyed it like a lot, and I can't stop thinking about it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and check out my review for more thoughts, but it was really good, and pick it up on the 9th of July. I then read Comeback, a K-pop novel by Lynn Ashford and Rachel Rose. This one I was actually contacted by the authors to review it, which has never happened to me before, so I felt really cool. This is a book that It's set in the K-pop world. It's about this group named Neon who has their comeback. The main character, Embry, met this girl a long time ago and sees her now again, and he goes after her because, not like in a creepy way by the way, but he goes after her because he wants to speak to her and thank her for what he did for her a long time ago. It reminds me of a K-drama, which is a bit funny. It has like some of those cliches. It was also of course full of K-pop and things a K-pop fan would recognize, but it was also a bit heavy on the romance, and I don't like that as much, I realize, at least when I'm not that invested in their relationship. So I just wanted more K-pop stuff and K-pop group stuff and not that much romance. But it was totally a K-book, and I really enjoyed the writing, and the plot was only fine. They both had a tragic backstory and stuff like that, the weary K-drama. And I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. A full review will be up soon, so more thoughts then. I then read When the Moon Was Ours by Anna Marie McLemore. This one has a trans main character. We follow Miel. She showed up one day out of a water tank, and Sam is the first one who goes up to her and talks to her. She also grows roses out of her wrists, and as you can tell, magical realism. It is just like wonderful and magical, and I loved how it was just magical inserted into our world. Writing is like really poetic and beautiful, and I really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed Sam finding out about himself and coming to terms with himself, the identity journey, and just them coming together. It was just beautiful, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Is this video soon over? I hope so. I'm joking. I hope you are having a great time. We have The Storm Crow by Kaylin Josephson. I got the arc from my favorite, and a review is already up on my channel, so you can go and check that out. This one follows Athena, who in this kingdom has magical crows. All of them died after an attack, and we are following 6 months later when she has to marry the prince of the kingdom that attacked her kingdom. Jesus Christ, that was spinning. I didn't really like this one. It was kind of not believable because I don't understand how all the crows just died in one attack if they were so magical and powerful. It could have been more. It was a setup book, making the character strong again after the terrible thing that happened to her. But since we don't get any information or flashback or feelings for how she were before, you don't care about how she grows into being, because I never cared about her initially, so why would I care about her when she is better? I don't know. That's my thoughts at least, and I give it 2 out of 5 stars. Yay. I then read Wild Beauty by Anna Marie McLemore. This one is by the same author obviously as earlier, and this one is set in a garden. There is these 5 cousins living there with their mothers and their grandmothers, everyone 5, and they have been living there for generations, but when they love someone they disappear. They can also grow flowers magically, so they are living in this beautiful garden, and all 5 of them realize that they are in love with the same girl, or they like her, in love with her, crushing on her, whatever. And then they sort of beg the garden to spare this person because they don't want this person to disappear, because they care about her obviously. And then this boy shows up out of nowhere, and they think that the garden has given back one of the loved ones from a long time ago or something like that, and they're trying to figure out who he is, and he's trying to figure out who he is. And yeah, I'm not gonna tell you who he is obviously because you need to read the book yourself, but this one is also just full of lovely writing from Anna Marie McLemore. She has really flowery writing. Flowery, haha. Her books about flowers, haha. But overall, it was just really enjoyable and magical and wondrous and beautiful, and that's all the adjectives I can come up with. But I gave this also 4 out of 5 stars and had a really great time reading it. I read Girls Made of Stars by Ashley Herring Blake. This one was a really serious book. The main character, Mara, is bisexual, and she has just broken up with her best friend Charlie, who is into girls and also questions her gender identity. She also has her brother Owen, which she cares a lot about, loves a lot. They are twins, and then her brother rapes one of her friends, Hannah, his girlfriend by the way, and it's all about her perspective of like what to believe. You have her friend telling you one thing, her brother which she has loved and always believed in and loves, and it's a really hard situation to be in. It never glamours over any of the important themes, and you really just understand her perspective so well. She never justifies anything. She also writes this paper called Empowerment, where she writes about all this for women, especially how hard it is for them in the whole puberty spectrum, sexuality, sex, all the things like that. And she always stood for one being able to speak out the truth, and now suddenly she has someone who does that. There's a lot going on in this book. I read this on a bus and I almost cried. I almost cried like a billion times reading this. It was really, really good. It's so serious and deep, and it really carries a really heavy theme, and it does it really, really well. Obviously trigger warnings for sexual assault and rape. It just carries a really important story, and I feel like it's a really important book that a lot of people should read, and I give it like 4.5 out of 5 stars. I'm so tired of talking right now, but the last book I read for the month of June was the 5th season by Anne Key Jemisin. This was my audiobook. I heard from my friend that this one had a polyamorous relationship. There was also a few characters that didn't have any gender either. I feel like it's really hard for me to explain what this book is about, because even after finishing it I'm not sure. But we follow Asun, whose son has been killed by her husband, and he also took her daughter with him. So she is following after him and is told in a really interesting way. We also follow this other little girl who has been sort of scouted to go to this school for people with powers, and we also follow this woman. She is told by the cauldron, which is like the school thing, to have sex with this dude to basically make babies so they can get more babies with powers. And it just follows these different perspectives. They all interact, obviously. And it is just told in a world where they have this magic controlling the earth, making earthquakes, stopping earthquakes. But it also, in this world, it comes these different seasons, and when the seasons come, the whole world just basically falls apart, and surviving then is really hard, so a lot of people die constantly. That's the impression I got. I'm still so confused of a lot of things in this book, but it was very, very good. It was very diverse for an adult fantasy. I really, really liked it. I am, as I said, still confused, but maybe because I'm stupid. It just had a lot of good elements. It was very interesting. It was very curious where the story wanted to go, and I'm excited to read the rest of the series and see how it wraps up. Definitely an adult fantasy that is not too heavy either, so I feel like if people want to go into the genre, this could be a nice book to start. And yeah, I give it 4 out of 5 stars because I really enjoyed it. It was fun, and yeah. I struggled a lot talking in this video, but I am now done. My bangs are annoying the hell out of me. I am super hot. It's great. I did it. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you liked this video, and you will see me soon in a new one. Bye!